Well, folks, we have a few stories for you this morning dealing with some really interesting things happening at Nintendo. There was a major update to Mario Kart World that seems to have upset a lot of people. We have what appears to be, it's a rumor for now, but at least some background information on why Kirby Air Riders exist. We have to pay attention this upcoming Friday because Nintendo has a massive meeting happening where we could learn some very interesting things and more. My gosh, before we dive in, I want to remind you that we are giving away 5 copies of Donkey Kong Bananza. You can enter down through the link in the pinned comment or the description, and it is fitting because we do have slightly new footage of Donkey Kong Bananza in today's video. But before we get to that, let's get to our very first story. And that's this post here by Stealth40K where it says Nintendo's 85th annual shareholder meeting is on Friday. Yes, I knew about this, but this was a nice reminder since we haven't talked about it in a while. There's always a Q&A with Nintendo leadership, so we should get some good information out of it. Now, we need to remember this is not a financial meeting, so this isn't one of those things where they're recapping the last quarter. That is an investors meeting. That comes later. This is a shareholder meeting that they do every single summer, every year around this time. So they do really emphasize the Q&A in these shareholder meetings. And we're probably going to see a lot of questions about Nintendo Switch 2, the games, sales updates, or whatever. I don't know if Nintendo's going to give us any exact sales data on things past the first 4 days that they already announced, but it'll be interesting to see what the plan is there and what's going to be asked and answered by Nintendo's leadership. Because Furukawa, so far at least as his run of president, CEO, whatever, of Nintendo, he's been a pretty straight shooter with information, so we'll see what happens. I am looking forward to the meeting. We cover it every single year if there's interesting things that happen, and I fully suspect there's going to be interesting things that happen this time. Now, one thing that we do know for sure is interesting is another post put out by Stealth right here. This is basically new Donkey Kong Bananza footage. It's not the highest quality footage, but it has voice acting and some cool stuff in it. So let's go ahead and hit play. It's about 28 seconds.
Yeah, no, but
Yes, we know for it. Yes, Yasuki Plaza.
No way! You're the worst!
Get it, yes, white. Jump the bottom, down a baby can.
All right, so there you go. Obviously, we have the Void guy being like, hey, you call me Mr. President, and Pauline be like, no way, you're the worst. So, look, I love voice acting. I love the made-up voice for the Void people, but obviously they give you the translation on screen, and I love the full voice acting by Pauline. The fact that we have like voice acting in something like this, to me, is just awesome, and I hope that it's a sign of things to come. But you know what is a sign of things to come, because it's already here, an update to Mario Kart World that seems to be upsetting people. And we have this article over on Nintendo Life about it, but in this article is a video. So let's watch this video first, because this video provides some context, all right? So first, let's watch this and then we'll read the article.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an emergency situation. We all voted random except 3 people. I need to see if what I'm seeing online is true. Okay, 5 Bowser's Castle connector courses. Let's see what we get. Okay, Moo Moo Meadows. Are we playing Moo Moo Meadows? No! Oh my gosh! I can't believe it. Nintendo just killed Mario Kart World. I'm shocked. I'm utterly in disbelief. They don't want us to. They don't want us to play the tracks. We can't even pick if we're gonna play a track or a connector. Wow. They literally just killed the worldwide option. We already have the straight lines on Knockout Tour. Like, we don't need them 24/7 in the main worldwide mode. This is really sad. You don't even know what you're getting. I wonder how often the regular tracks are even going to show up anymore. It might just be almost all intermissions now. Like, me recording might be 80% connectors and 20% tracks, and we're just driving on roads, like, brainlessly. Like, this is the most shocked I've ever been in a video. I've never seen an update this bad. I didn't even know Nintendo was capable of this. This is beyond me. I almost feel like everyone was picking random and Nintendo was annoyed by it. we like beat the system. They want us to play the straight lines, and we said, no, we're good. And then they're just like, okay, you're gonna play them anyway. I'm so upset, guys.
All right, so you can see that Nintendo dropped this update. And the update yesterday said adjusted courses selected in random when selecting the next course in wireless versus race. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, prior to the update, selecting a standard race when competing online would give you the option to choose either an intermission race from a set selection of 3 courses or choose something at random. The random option would often ditch the intermission setup in favor of a standard 3-lap race around one of the game's excellent themed courses. So if you happen to see the vast majority of players choosing random when selecting a course, this is why. The update has changed this, and according to many fans, it's proven to be a bit of a slap in the face. Basically, Nintendo is now doubling down on the intermission races, meaning you begin the race on a rolling start and drive across the roads towards the selected track. So while it is still possible to land a standard 3-lap race, the probability of doing so has plummeted. So yeah, fans aren't particularly happy with this update, as demonstrated in that video above. Folks are also voicing their concerns on Family Boards and the Coral Sensei 4, stating that I genuinely have fun playing this game and perfecting the 3-lap tracks for online, and this just ruined all of that practice. Our very own community user, Aid117, echoed this sentiment in our recent update article and said, what a downer of an update. I prefer to play 3 laps around a track, but Nintendo wants us to be as difficult as possible to do online. Family Boards member Hush went on one step further and said, well, that was basically a waste of money. I guess I won't touch this game until this tone-deaf and idiotic decision is fixed. We have no doubt Nintendo will continue to apply updates. Now, one thing I will note about this particular mode in the game when playing online is the fact that you could only get the 3-lap stuff by selecting random. Kind of tells me that that probably wasn't intended. I think they meant for it to be nothing but intermission courses, but they had a bug that was allowing it to be 3 laps on a course. It just turned out that people really liked that. And I say that because if you would select specific things, it would always be the intermission course. Only random would give you the 3 laps. So to me, that kind of felt like it was not actually intended to be that way. That doesn't change the fact that people are upset. Of course, that doesn't change the fact that people preferred it the other way. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully Nintendo's listening to this feedback and they roll back the change or even change it entirely, where maybe they let you choose, like if you get chosen at random or whatever, they give the person who got chose the option to choose the actual course or the intermission instead of it just being randomly selected. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, folks. I obviously don't really play this mode. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm more of a Knockout Tour person, which is a bunch of intermission stuff. So I love Knockout Tour. I love standard mode online, not the verse mode, but like the standard online modes. And I haven't had any issues. But hey, you know what? Everyone's going to be different. And let's go ahead and get to an update that we do know. We talked briefly how Nintendo could mention sales data in the past. Well, we do have sales data for sure for last week out of Japan coming from Famitsu. So we have the latest sales charts, and honestly, it's pretty strong here. 140,000 Switch 2 sold, obviously sitting there at the top of the charts. And if you look, that's only a 13,000 drop compared to last week. So chances are they're still selling out of every unit they can get out, and they're maintaining a strong resupply of over 120, 140,000 units every week. So that's good news for Japan that there is just such a strong restock happening. And yes, there were new games as well. Obviously, Mario Kart World is still at the top. It finally crossed 1 million as a million seller in Japan. If you look at that, that's 1,044,044. And there's been, it doesn't say right here, but there has been over 1 million Switch 2 sold in the country as well. I thought maybe the total was there. Anyways, we see there was a new game released on Switch in Raid Remaster. It did outsell the PS5 version of Raid Remaster. Those taking the 2 and 3 spots. Fantasy Life Eye of the Girl Sees Time sitting there at number 4. We have Breath of the Wild, the Switch 2 edition at number 5. Raid Remaster for Switch 2 at number 6. Obviously, probably not going to be number 1 because there's a hell of a lot more Switches installed there right now than Switch 2s. Rune Factory Guardian of Azuma at 8. Raid Remaster for PS4 at 9, and then Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition there at 10. It was Breath of the Wild was the one at 5. So anyways, guys, that's it for the Famitsu sales. Obviously, I really love that we get this sales data every week. The Nintendo Switch 2 has been number 1 since it came out. I'm not so sure it's going to let go of that number 1 anytime soon. Now, our last story deals with Kirby Air Riders and Smash Bros. A little bit as well, because the bottom line is Kirby Air Riders is being made by Masahiro Sakurai, who really has been doing nothing but Smash Bros. For like the last decade plus. And We got to be honest. Sakurai has expressed in the past his interest to make other games. He just has. So we have this rumor coming from Reese Riley, aka Kiwi Talks, who is somebody who has interviewed over 100 plus game developers. And he actually was right about Metroid Prime 4 being in the Switch 2 Direct. And so let's go ahead and look at this, because it says the game is Sakurai's passion project. He's quoting Kirby Air Riders. And he was burned out from working on Smash Bros. Constantly since 2012. So he is claiming that as a negotiating tactic, offered to do another Smash if he could do Kirby Air Riders first. So Sakurai wanted to do Kirby Air Riders, and he said, hey, I'll make you guys another Smash Bros. Game, but let me make Kirby Air Riders first. Nintendo are in a bind with Smash Bros. And Sakurai is irreplaceable currently. I think that's an opinion, because as you scroll down here, it says, some of my stuff is already being misconstrued, and the line between fact and speculation is blurring. Everything in regards to the negotiation from Sakurai and Nintendo is a source. So this thing here, he's got a source that, yes, Sakurai told Nintendo, I want to make Kirby Air Riders, and then I'll make Smash Bros. If you want me to make a new Smash Bros, that's fine, but I want to do Kirby Air Riders. Please let me do that first, and then I'll definitely do Smash. And he said everything else is speculation. So he doesn't know if Smash is in pre-production, because he talked about right here where the people were taking this and taking it as a fact, saying, the new Smash Bros. Game in development right now. And he says, I doubt it. Maybe Bandai Namco could be doing pre-production on it, but unlikely. Sakurai is so instrumental in planning these out, especially on the third-party negotiations. The level of respect and cloudy as an industry can be underestimated. And this was getting reported as him saying, Smash Bros. Hasn't even started pre-production. We even talked about it on the podcast yesterday, that this was, because this was the headline out there, but I hadn't really dug deep into it because the news was breaking while we were doing the podcast. Well, this is the reality here, is that that is just speculation. He has no idea if Smash Bros. Begun pre-production. He has no idea if Smash Bros. Was even being made at the same time as Kirby Air Riders by a different team. Obviously, at this point, Reese Riley doesn't know that. What he does know is that Sakurai used Kirby Air Riders as a negotiating tactic with Nintendo in making the next Smash Bros. Game. He's basically saying, hey, I'll do Smash. Obviously, Sakurai's even talked in the past how he doesn't know how Smash can exist without him. But I want to do something else. I haven't done anything else since Kid Icarus Uprising. That's how long it's been since Sakurai got to make a different game. So I understand him using it as a negotiating tactic. What's also kind of cool is, while Sakurai isn't independent and is not an official Nintendo employee, he continues to not only want to keep making Smash Bros, but when he wants to make other games, he still wants to work with Nintendo IP. Kid Icarus last time, going back to Kirby, that's his creation. Like, he created Kirby, and getting to make Air Riders must be pretty cool. I wonder if after the next Smash Bros game, and obviously there'll be DLC associated, is he going to be allowed to make even another different Nintendo game? We don't know how much longer Sakurai is going to be making games for. It could be for another 20 years, or maybe not. I have no idea. It's going to be up to him how long he feels like working. But yeah, I'm pretty happy that we are getting Kirby Air Riders. And, does this mean Smash Bros. Might be a middle of the generation game? Maybe, but he doesn't actually know if it's begun pre-production or if it's in full development right now. It still could be an early generation game. So it's just nice to have some of those headlines corrected and some of the stuff we said on the podcast yesterday corrected as well, because again, it was a developing story at the time. The headlines were out there. He hadn't even made that correction tweet at that time. So I wanted to make sure that we got that correction out there, because we misspoke yesterday because we were running with what the headlines were saying in the middle of a breaking story. And all of this is a rumor anyway, so it's not like we can confirm that this was used as a negotiating tactic. Sakurai, though, is also just like Furukawa and a pretty straight from the hip shooter. So whenever he does do interviews or talks to Famitsu, as he used to do with the Famitsu column every week, I fully suspect that he will just drop the beans on this as well, that it was his idea to do Kirby Air Riders in addition to Smash, or before Smash came out. So anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am Nathaniel Rebelljans. We got to go ahead and get this video out because we have Indie Mania today. Hopefully you guys will be joining me at 10 a.m. Central Time for our pre-show before the actual Indie Mania pre-show. As we have like a 3-hour event coming up with Indie Mania that we're going to be live reacting to today. So hope you guys join me there. Otherwise, you know what? I'll catch you guys in the next video tomorrow, because there will not be a live stream tonight because my son has a baseball game. So see you guys then.